Hey, hi Al. Today we are going to talk about AngularJS introduction. So what is this AngularJS? How it is used, and how it is having more benefits compared to other technologies in the industry. So AngularJS is the name itself saying that it is a JavaScript library, which basically using it for developing websites. So this is a serverless technology where we can purely write everything in the HTML file, which is going to be executed in browser. It won't render or it won't go to the server for rendering any website. So this is an open source framework which was originally developed in 2009 and using it for developing dynamic web applications. So if you look at any HTML, any website, so we basically write the website development using HTML standard, HTML tags, so with some static text. If you want to extend the HTML syntax, right, to express any application components and kind of structure, we are going to use AngularJS. So that way it is going to dynamically display the content and render the website. So we talk about this AngularJS. It is an open source application framework, web application framework, right? It was developed, right, in 2009 by Misko Havry and Adam Abrons. Now it was maintained by Google. Okay. The latest version of AngularJS is 1.8.3. Got it? So this is a structural framework for dynamic websites, and it's used for extending HTML components. So it lets you use HTML as your template language for any website and lets you extend HTML syntax to express your application components clearly. Okay, so it's having several features like especially the data binding and dependency injection, which basically eliminates much of code you are going to write for any website. So it is having data binding and dependency injection, eliminate much of code you currently have to write for any website. And it will happens with the browser, making it an kind of, the ideal partner with any server technology. So as I mentioned, this is a client server technology where it is going to execute entire stuff which you're writing in the website at browser, but certainly it is going to having cope up with server technology that could be anything, .NET, Java, or any other server technology. So this AngularJS basically using it for developing dynamic websites, and I can say using it for developing the single page applications, which is very clean and maintainable way of a developer, maintain way for the developer. That way they can easily develop the single page applications using a model view controller kind of concept. So where we can define our model and the controllers, and these things can be used as part of your view in the HTML. Okay. If we talk about some of the features, AngularJS features, first thing is data binding, and second thing is scope, and third thing is controller, as I said, and fourth thing is services, filters, directives, and templates. Routing is this is one of the major feature, and dependency injection, right? And again, a model view architecture, These are some of the AngularJS core features. Okay, when you talk about this data binding, right, it is the automatic synchronization of data between model and view components. So that means when you define data binding, it will be automatically, right, synchronize or sync the data between your model and the view. So model is nothing but a business stuff which you are having all the data, and view is nothing but the presentation layer where you are displaying something to the user on the UI. These two components are going to synchronize the data. That way, it is going to have a latest data on the UI, that is in the presentation or view layer, which is similar to same data will be available in the model. And coming to the scope, so these are the objects that refers to the model. So they act as a glue between controller and view. So it is act as a glue between controller and view. Okay, as a object, as a object. Using scope, we can refer the model to view components. Scope is nothing but it's a glue between controller and view as an object, where we can refer the model to the view components. Okay, and coming to the controller, right? So these are some functions which basically write it for particular scope and can be used using a controller. So these are JavaScript functions which bounds to a particular scope. Okay, and the next one is services. So services is nothing but it is similar to kind of services we have in other technologies where we can get the data from server side technology. So AngularJS has come up with this server services built-in feature using $HTTP to make XML HTTP requests to the server. These are singleton objects which are instantiated only once in app. Okay, so services is nothing but right. So these are kind of a mechanism or provision to make server side hits using services. That in this case, AngularJS, we use $HTTP. So AngularJS comes with several built-in services such as $HTTP, right, to make XML HTTP request. So if you want to make a request to the server using AngularJS from the client side, we're going to use $HTTP. Okay, so this is the service which basically comes as part of AngularJS, right? So also these are singleton objects. That means once it initialize throughout the application, we are going to use the same object. These are singleton objects which are instantiated only once in an app. Okay, and coming to the next one is filters. This is similar to as like other languages are having filters to filter particular kind of items, subset of items. So these are kind of select a subset of items from an array or any kind of collection, and it returns a new collection. Okay, so these select a subset of items from an array and returns a new array. So after filtering, it is going to return a new array from the kind of collection or an complete full defined array. Okay, coming to the directives. Directives are markers on DOM elements such as elements, attributes, or style sheets, and more on in HTML tags. This can be used to create custom HTML tags that serves a new custom widgets, right? AngularJS has built-in directives such as ngbind, ngmodal, ngclick kind of stuff. So directives are nothing but markers, right? These are markers to DOM elements, such as, right, can say attributes, CSS, and custom attributes, and many more. So if you define any HTML tag, like input type equal to button and style equal so and so, and tooltip equal something, placeholder something. So all these things can be, right, calling as attributes or CSS or custom attributes. So if we can define these attributes, right, then we are going to use one of the either of any HTML tag, and then we achieve the goal. But when it comes to AngularJS, we'll be having a different attributes, which basically having prefix added with ng, like ngbind, ngclick, ngmodal, and using those, we are going to if define the required purpose, and those can be called as directive. So AngularJS has built-in directives such as ngbind, right, ngmodal, and ngclick, etc. So these are built-in directives where we can directly use as part of AngularJS. So these are similar to normal DOM element attributes or HTML tag attributes. Coming to the templates, these are rendered views with some information from the controller to model. These can be single files such as index.html or multiple views in one page using a partial classes or partial files. So these are rendered views with information from the controller and model, right? These can be in a single file or multiple views in one file or a page using partials. Okay, so that we can directly use these templates for the specified need. Coming to the routing, this is one of the major feature. It is concept of switching between different views. It is a concept of switching between different views. Let us say I have 5 views. If you want to switch between these two 5 views, we are going to specify a routing, that is the path of your navigation. So based on that, it is going to switch between your views. Coming to the dependency injection, AngularJS has built-in dependency injection subsystem that helps developer to create and understand and test the application easily. Okay, so AngularJS has a built-in dependency injection subsystem that helps the developers to create, understand, and test the application very easily. Okay, and last one is model view architecture. As I mentioned, it is model view architecture by default, where we can create the models. Some data can be fetched from server side technology. And then we have a controller where we can define our JavaScript functions to bind or get the data and construct the required string. And coming to the view, we are going to have some HTML elements, DOM elements, where we can directly bind the data using AngularJS directives. So MVW, model view architecture, or model view whatever. I think we can say model view whatever architecture. MVW, okay, is a design architecture for driving an application into different into to different parts of components. Those are known as model, view, and controller. Each is having its distinct. Each part is having distinct responsibilities. So AngularJS does not implement MVC in the traditional sense, but rather something closer to MVVM, model view model. It is going to adopt the model view architecture. The AngularJS team refers it humorously as model view whatever. That means a model view can be used for anything. A model view or view model or model view, a model view or model view, a model or model view controller. So anything can be done using model view whatever architecture. So these are some of the core features like data binding, scope, controller, services, filter, directives, templates, routing, dependency injection, and model view whatever architecture. Okay. And coming to the advantages of this AngularJS, let's see what are all the advantages we have if we use AngularJS other than other technologies. The first one is it provides the capability of provision to create single page application. We can create single page application. We can create single page application in a very clean and maintainable way. Second thing is it provides data binding capabilities to HTML. Thus, it gives a rich and responsive kind of UI. And third one is a kind of unit level code we can write using AngularJS, hence we can do unit testing very easily. So AngularJS code is unit testable. Unit testable. You're using any QUnit or JUnit or Jasmine. So anything can be used as part of unit testing your AngularJS code because it is part of components and kind of units. We can separate easily and can be tested using any technology. Fourth one is AngularJS use dependency injection and make use of separation of concerns. It uses dependency injection, hence we make use of separation of concerns. The next one is provides reusable components where we can easily use components multiple times. AngularJS provides reusable components where we can use these components in different areas. So with AngularJS, the developers can achieve more functionality with short code because it has come up with built-in services, built-in directives. Hence, we can write a short code. AngularJS come up with built-in, come up with core features. Hence, core features. Hence, we can develop, or hence, developer write short code to develop any website. Okay, so these are some advantages using of AngularJS. So there are one or two disadvantages like not secure or not degradable, but those are not comes under a major part here. But we only look at the advantages and start using of AngularJS. And not secure means if the entire code is written in client side and it is JavaScript framework. So while it is downloading it client side, anyone can alter or uh, take your code and see the logics, right? Being in JavaScript only framework, even I can disable JavaScript at browser side, and then when I browse one application, it won't work because I disabled JavaScript purely. It's my intention to be disabled in my system, but you are depending on the browser JavaScript enabled option, hence your AngularJS won't work. Being JavaScript only framework, application written in AngularJS are not safe. Server side authentication and authorization is must to keep an application source to secure. And second thing is not degradable because if the user of your application disables JavaScript, then nothing would be visible except the basic page, right? So that's one of the kind of disadvantage use this AngularJS. So when it comes to disadvantages, one is not secure, not degradable. Okay, so this is something about the uh, AngularJS, right? So we'll talk more on these features and some samples in next sessions. I hope you are clear on this introduction part. So not secure means again I'll write something. So being JavaScript only framework, right? Written in AngularJS are not safe because these are going to execute client side. Server side authentication and authorization is must. Authorization is must to keep an application secure. So this we can achieve via server side technologies. This is again, as I mentioned, if the user of your application, right, disable JavaScript, then nothing would be visible except the basic logic or basic page render. Okay, so these are some disadvantages, but we can achieve using kind of alternatives here. For the first one, we can implement server-side authentication and authorization. And second thing is we must make sure users to not disable JavaScript function. Or we can check the disability of JavaScript function. We can alert or notify user must enable this in their browsers. Okay, this is something about AngularJS introduction part. So it is very easy and anyone can learn and anyone can use that for developing websites, kind of single page applications, as it has several core features where we can use it for developing dynamic websites. Okay. Thanks for listening to this video, and please subscribe the channel for more videos. Thank you.